mean, any time the President of the United States goes abroad, and especially to a core ally, the place of the special relationship, it's certainly of some interest, I mean, especially to people in the States who pay attention to international affairs. I mean, I think for most Americans who are really paying attention to the Trump presidency, it's kind of a barometer on where does the United States stand in the world in the midst of this presidency, this extraordinary presidency where you have a president of the United States asserting that the European Union was created essentially to rip off the United States, the World Trade Organization, another institution largely crafted by the United States, designed to fleece Americans and stop Americans from being strong in the world. So, I mean, there is a sense for the elite on the coasts of the United States that if the President of the United States can't get a welcoming reception in Britain, where can he get?
Well, now that's an interesting one. So, advise the protesters. Okay, so they don't like Donald Trump. Clearly, they want to put up a balloon, you know, baby Trump balloon. Will that get play in the United States? And will Americans? How will it? What effect will it have on American public opinion?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think that it will depend on where you sit.
If you're a Trump supporter, you'll hate it.
It's a very polarized political realm in the United States. And yeah, I mean, if you're part of the base that says he's making America great again, and what we want is someone who's disruptive, and we buy this idea that all of the predecessors have just played this diplomatic game, which amounts to the U.S. getting taken as chumps in the global economy, then you probably like the fact that he's alienated all of these people, and he went to the G7 and he kicked up a fuss. He goes to NATO and he reprimands the Germans and calls the Europeans deadbeats. And okay, they don't like him, and there's evidence over Westminster. There's this image of the president as a diapered baby. On the other hand, if you're concerned about the American place in the world, it's disconcerting to live in a time when the United States has become widely viewed as a force for ill in global affairs.
Let's talk about his relationship with two women, Merkel and May. Merkel first. It almost seems a bit personal, doesn't it? He just obviously doesn't. There's something about her he doesn't really get on with.
I mean, this is a president who has troubles with women in general, if we believe what we hear from many women who have been subjected to various forms of ill treatment and sexual harassment, as many would assert. Now, Merkel is a strong-willed, intelligent woman who says what she believes, and what she believes is very different than what Donald Trump seems to believe. I mean, she let in migrants. This is anathema to Trump, who wants to build a wall on the Mexican border.
Okay, so you can see political differences and maybe personal style differences. What about Theresa May, though, that relationship's been very odd. You know, she was the first to go and see him when he was elected. In no time, he was having a bromance with Macron, and everyone here was left wondering what on earth was happening.
It's a strangely codependent moment in this relationship because they clearly don't like each other.
What, May and Trump?
Yeah, May and Trump. Trump clearly doesn't respect Theresa May. I mean, he lavished praise on Boris Johnson, who, you know, just tried to stick the knife in Theresa May. I mean, that's like, you know, praising the guy who's trying to burn down the house that's about to put you up for the night on the way in. On the other hand, they kind of need one another right now because Trump is here, presumably trying to gain some sort of legitimacy. Look, I really am the president. I can go on a state visit to Britain and the world will not come to a stop. Theresa May continues to peddle this fantastical notion that Brexit's going to be wonderful economically because Britain's going to forge all these free trade deals, starting with the United States. I mean, the idea that you're going to put your eggs in the basket run by this president who's launching a global trade war is somewhat interesting, but the two of them are joined at the hip.